Oh, welcome in, everyone. I am Jack Stache from Fantasy Farm Sports, coming at you on a Wednesday to talk about our Thursday night football matchup. Guys, before we get started, I want to thank the subscribers that we have added this week. We are up to 92. Oh, we are headed north towards 100. I appreciate every single one of you. It's really cool, right? We just a couple weeks ago we were at 50, and then we moved up to 62, then 78. Now we're at 92. Really appreciative of all the subscribers that we have and the ones that we'll be adding, because our picks are hitting. We've been real hot lately, and I hope you guys have been doing well with every single one of them. And when you do well with picks, you'll take those picks and you'll have some money for yourself, and you get to improve your space for which your friends come over to, your man cave and hang out. Yes, we're talking about our sponsor, gridironmancave.com. You can get football helmets, chin straps, rivalry posters they've added. Lots of new cool stuff is being added to Gridiron Man Cave every single day. Really fun stuff. Guys, go check it out. gridironmancave.com. Go get yourself a football helmet. Go get yourself some new memorabilia that your friends can enjoy in your man cave. Let's get started with our Thursday night football matchup, shall we? We have the Cincinnati Bengals versus or at the Baltimore Ravens. It is Thursday night, 8:15 on Prime, as they'll tell you. Let's see, some things to know about. Our money lines, right? So the Ravens are minus 260. They are minus 6 points. And for you guys that don't gamble a lot, that means before the game even starts, before any kick is played, before national anthems, before any of that stuff, the one thing that we do know is that the Bengals are getting 6 points before kickoff, before national anthem, before you hear anybody speak on a microphone. You do have the Cincinnati Bengals at +6, getting 6 points. It's currently 6-0, right? The over-under is set at 53 because when these two teams played the first time, it was a slugfest, right? These teams went into overtime. The Baltimore Ravens won 41-38, with Cincinnati leading a lot of that game and then Baltimore making it up late in that affair. Let's see. Some things I'd like here, right? Because that's what we want to get down to. I'll give you guys a couple fantasy nuggets early. I don't like Derrick Henry above 93.5 yards rushing. It's even money, both sides. The over-under for Derrick Henry's rushing yards is at 93.5 yards rushing. I just don't see him eclipsing that this week, right? It's a short week. Baltimore Ravens are at home. They should be able to control the ball and the clock, but they're not going to need, I don't believe, as much of Derrick Henry, especially on a short week. On a short week, it's the coach's job to get the victory, but he's also got to keep players healthy going forward, right? And that's a little bit tougher to manage. That's why you need a great head coach. Harbaugh's a fantastic example of one. I think he'll get 17 to 16 carries. I don't see him pressing over 100 yards. I understand what his track record has been lately, but I think 93.5 will be a little bit lower. I think Cincinnati will try and load the box against Derrick Henry. While we're talking about Derrick Henry and the Baltimore Ravens, I want to bring up their record and their schedule. Okay, the Baltimore Ravens are 6-3. With one of their wins on their resume being the Cincinnati Bengals, right? So the Baltimore Ravens have already beaten the Bengals, but next week, after playing this Thursday night event, they get another AFC North opponent, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that the Baltimore Ravens are absolutely going to need Derrick Henry to pound the rock against that Steelers defense. You're going to have to. I know Lamar Jackson's a great quarterback. I know that they have new weapons, but you're going to need to wear down those linebackers and that Pittsburgh defense. So I think you use him a little less this week in order to save him for next week. Player management, it's team management. It's not throwing a game. It's not using your best player. You're trying to manage your team each and every week and get victories, right? Like you can't, if you have Christmas time coming up, right? Because we do. It's on the horizon, right? If you know that, your FedEx workers and UPS workers and your post office, right? If they're all going to be working extra hours because it's needed for package delivery season, right? You might try to dial back on the guys that you're going to need the most right now, right? You're going to need those guys for the Christmas season push. So maybe those hours get dialed back a little bit now because you're going to really need those guys to be sharp, fast, and efficient when the season arrives. That's what Baltimore's at right now. They have already secured a divisional win against these Bengals. And I know it would be nice to get 2 in a row, but we need to do it in understanding what players we need to keep fit. And Derrick Henry is very important to this team. I have him under 93.5 yards because I think that's the best for Derrick Henry and for the Baltimore Ravens here. Let's move on to another fantasy pick I like. I love Chase Brown over 23.5 receiving yards. When I think about Chase Brown, I think about a scat back. I think about speed. I don't necessarily think about, getting all of the carries. Okay, you have to understand, the Bengals lose Zach Moss to injury. So Chase Brown is going to be on the field more, but I don't think they love him in between the tackles. They don't love Chase Brown. They like getting him outside, swing passes, receiving yards, right? They traded the Cincinnati Bengals. They just traded for Khalil Herbert, but he's not a great blocker. He doesn't know their scheme yet. He's just getting to the Bengals from the Bears. So since he doesn't know the scheme and he doesn't know the receiving and the blocking and all these things that need to be done, Chase Brown is going to be on the field more and definitely pick up receiving yards. So I think I like Chase Brown over 23.5 receiving yards. And if you're feeling frisky, I think Chase Brown might rumble in for an anytime touchdown. I think those are things that you could play. It's all about the odds, right? When we're taking these fantasy picks on Thursday night, we're betting the odds on players that are on the field getting snaps. The more snaps they get, the more opportunities they get to score. The more opportunities they get for touches. We're betting on opportunity here and the player getting it. That's what we're looking at in the Chase Brown event. Let's talk about the teams a little bit. The Bengals haven't beaten a good team all year. They, you could say they have, or they've played good in spots, but let's be honest. They lost to the Chiefs by 1. They lost to the Commanders by 5. They lost to the Ravens by 3. And they got smashed by the Eagles. Those are 4 quality teams for which you'd like to see at least 1-3. I'd like to see a split there. 0-4 against teams that will be, or at least right now, looks like they will be in the playoffs is really concerning. I think that, you have to start beating teams that are going to be there in the end. You have to start proving things to your defense. Your defense has to start proving things to your offense. You have to come together as a team. And with a 4-5 record, it's about damn time. It's about damn time for you to start coming together, Cincinnati Bengals, as a total team. Because if you don't, you're going to start in this area, in this part of the season, right? With 9 weeks already gone and the 10th on the horizon, you're going to start looking at each other and wondering who the problem is, who needs to go, who needs to get better, give more effort. Those things are going to start happening, right? And you have to start beating good teams. It's very important. At least one. At least you need to be able to point to one team on the schedule that you feel better than. I think there were a couple opportunities. I think they could have gotten the Chiefs. They didn't. I do believe that this Baltimore Ravens team was an opportunity since you led the whole game. And then you lost. You gave it away. Some events that I don't love. I don't love, and I want you guys to be very careful with this. Be very careful. This is right in my notes. Be very careful with Lamar Jackson primetime game rushing overs. I'll repeat that again so you guys can hear it back a second time. Be very careful with Lamar Jackson primetime game rushing overs. This is set at 50.5, and it feels easy, doesn't it? Oh, 50 and a half. Lamar Jackson's going over 50 and a half easily. No problem. He gets 50 and a half in his sleep. But does he? Because it should be set much higher. It should probably run around 60 and a half, maybe even 70 to make you think about it. But I want you to think about this when you're placing that easy bet. Jackson often tries to prove he's a great passer during national televised games. That's a fact. Look at all of them. He tries to throw like he's a pure passer, and his rushing numbers drop drastically. So this 50 and a half feels a little different. It doesn't feel as easy. Okay. By the way, he's going to be incorporating another wide receiver into the Ravens offense. He's got Flowers, he's got Andrews, he's got Bateman. And now it's time to get Deontay Johnson up to speed. And I think he forces a few, and he's trying to sit in the pocket more and not just take off in this game and prove to his new teammates that the ball will be headed his way, Deontay Johnson's way. I'd be very careful with this 50 and a half. My gut screams it's going under. That's what my gut screams. You guys could do whatever you want to do with your stomach. Sometimes you like burgers, pizza, fish. You take care of your own stomach. But I will tell you right now, mine is screaming 50 and a half under because it feels so easy, this gimme, and I don't think it is a gimme. Next up on the docket, these are all prime fantasy picks, by the way, guys. Burrow passing touchdowns over 1.5. I like the Burrow passing. It's minus 160. So that means for every $160 that you put down, you win 100. If Burrow goes over 1.5 touchdowns, I think Burrow has a great opportunity here. He's been great lately. The yards are high. I understand that the team does not have a winning record. Bengals aren't winning. They're 4-5, but Burrow's been good. And I feel as though if his defense plays the same as they have been, which is horrific, I believe that Burrow is going to have to find a way to 2 touchdowns for them to win. I think Chase Brown could also rumble in for a touchdown. Okay. I do like his passing over at 23.5. For our one viewer, I do not like the Derrick Henry rushing yards being 93.5. I think he comes under a little bit. They save Derrick Henry for this long end of the season for which the Ravens will be headed towards. Let's look at their upcoming games, because I think upcoming games are important when you're trying to figure in a Thursday night matchup. The Ravens are 6-3. That's a fact. We know that. They've got the Bengals on Thursday nights, and then they've got the Steelers, and then they've got the Chargers, and then they've got the Eagles. Do you see what I mean here? Are you guys following me? Paying attention? You need to have a Derrick Henry fully healthy to be able to rumble in all these games. A bigger, stronger running back needs more time to recover than would be a smaller running back. He's just a huge man. He takes bigger hits. People are licking him, smoking him, hitting him all the time. He's a bigger body. He is. These are things we know. I think that he will get his carries managed, and it's going to be difficult to manage Derrick Henry and pull away in this game. Bengals upcoming schedule, they're 4-5. They have the Ravens. They also get the Chargers out of their next few games. And then they get the Steelers. I mean, we have like schedules here. They get the Chargers, Steelers, and those are the next 2 tough opponents after the Ravens. Then their schedule lightens up. But I feel as though the Bengals, being 4-5, have to win at least 2 of the next 3. They get the Ravens, Chargers, Steelers. I think they need 2 out of those 3, and I think their locker room knows that. Let's see. So last week they didn't beat anybody, right? They beat the Raiders. Nobody cares. I'm sorry if you're a Raiders fan out there, but nobody cares that the Bengals beat the Raiders and the Ravens beat the Broncos last week. So you can't look to past opponents and kind of see what the future is going to look like here. Here is my pick this week. I really love the Bengals getting 6 points. I think this lands between 3 to 4 points either way. It did the first time. And Joe Burrow has been very quietly angry. He's been fuming. He's sick of taking these press conferences right on the chin. I think that the Ravens show up, they play nice, and they might pull out a victory. But in my heart of hearts, in my guts, not only would I be taking the Bengals getting 6, if you're feeling real frisky on Thursday night, buck the trend and take the Cincinnati Bengals in a must-win game. I think the Bengals with a 210 plus 210 money line is very worth your money. I wouldn't bet my house, but I'll tell you what, if you got a garage storing a vintage car or some lawnmower parts or some tools, you can certainly go in and bet that garage. I will take the Bengals getting the 6 points. I'm not so frisky, but I do believe the 6 points will play just fine in this game. Guys, I am Jack Stache, Fantasy Farm Sports, coming at you every single week. I am so looking forward to this Thursday AFC North matchup. Enjoy your day, guys.